Welcome to another episode of the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. I will be joined by my dad in just a few minutes, but we are starting early because it's time for my, what are we doing this? Quarterly top 10 QBs and Nate's notches. It's going to be a pretty big show today, so let's jump right into it. My top 10 QBs, we will start with number 10. It's Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert, the reason why he's number 10, I don't even think I had him, I'm pretty sure I lowered him this time, but the reason why he's number 10 is, well, simple fact, the Chargers are not playing up to what they should be. Justin Herbert is playing pretty well. He has some inconsistencies, some things that we question sometimes, like, what? Really? You serious? But his team has been dealing with injuries. Mike Williams, who got hurt against the Chiefs, he's out this week. He's been dealing with injuries basically all year. So, you got to give him that. You got to cut him some slack. Keenan Allen also has been hurt most of the year. Luckily, he's been back. He's going to play this week. His offensive lineman, Rashawn Slater, I believe, is out for the year. So there's a lot that Justin Herbert has to go through. But as of right now, he's doing perfectly fine. All right, let's get into the next one. Geno Smith at number 9. Now, he did lose to Tom Brady, which, that's perfectly fine. You lost to Tom Brady. There's nothing else to really say about it. So I'm not going to cut him I'm not going to, really give in to say, oh, Geno Smith's a bad quarterback because he lost to Tom Brady. He's still completing an exorbitant amount of passes. I believe he still has the highest completion percentage in the league right now, which that is, he does. It's 72.8%, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm surprised. It looks like the Seahawks really fleeced the Broncos with that trade. Geno Smith, he's playing for a contract right now. It's really, really impressive what he's been able to do. So, Geno Smith at number 9. The next one, number 8, I'm putting Tom Brady here. Tom Brady has had for the past, 2 weeks, he's had some sort of a bounce back. He had that insane late game drive against the Rams to put them away. He played pretty well in Germany against the Seahawks, except the second half was, you had some question marks there. But Tom Brady's been playing basically, I shouldn't say that consistently because he's had some games where he has played terribly, but he's played relatively the same throughout the entire year. He's a 66% completion percentage, 2,800 yards, 12 touchdowns. He doesn't turn the ball over. The past 2 years with the Bucs, he's had 12 interceptions per year. This year, it doesn't seem like he's going to get anywhere near that number. He has 2 right now through we're now at 12 weeks. So, taking a look at it, Brady, I don't think he's going to hit double-digit interceptions this year, but who knows if he'll even reach 20 touchdowns. But he's been playing efficiently most of the time. There's some question marks, running game, offensive line breakdown, so that's why he's only at number 8. Number 7, Justin Fields. Justin Fields right now is going for Lamar Jackson's QB rushing record. It's impressive. What Justin Fields has been doing the past couple weeks has been very, very impressive. They just haven't all amounted to wins. And, I understand that. The Bears got rid of their 2 best defensive players in Roquan Smith and I'm forgetting his name now. Roquan Smith and whoever they just traded to either the Eagles or some other team. I'm completely blanking my mind. I apologize for that. So they got rid of their 2 best defensive players. And their defense has suffered. The past 2 games, Justin Fields, honestly, since the New England game, Justin Fields has done really, really, really well, especially when running the football. He's had 2 games where he's had over 100, basically 150 rushing yards. Against Miami Dolphins, they lost 35-32. 15 carries, 178 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. He also threw for 3 touchdowns in that game, but they couldn't beat the Dolphins. They lost 35-32. Against Detroit, they did lose by 1 point. Justin Fields had 2 touchdowns, 2 throwing touchdowns, along with 2 rushing touchdowns to go with 147 rushing yards. And in this past week against Atlanta, where they just couldn't get it done the second half, Justin Fields is dealing with an injury, a shoulder injury. He's questionable right now, but I think should play this week. He had another touchdown, 85 rushing yards, and another rushing touchdown. So he's playing pretty well. I've been very, very impressed with Justin Fields because early on, the first 4 games he started, he only had over 10 completions once, which that's just embarrassing. He did not look great throwing it, And then at the New England game, it really seemed to, something sparked. So something hit Justin Fields. He's been near perfect. He's done very, very well. So that's why he's at number 7. Number 6, Lamar Jackson. He has to be here. There's no way I could put him higher. He's no longer top 10 for me. I kept him in the top 10 since week 1 and then week 4 maybe, or maybe week, let's see. No, Derek Carr, number 10 of that. So basically week 4 and week 8, I had him in the top 5, but I can't put him in the top 5 anymore. He's kept games that he should blow out teams. He's kept them relatively close. He almost lost to Cleveland. He beat Tampa because they actually decided to run the ball in the second half instead of only throw it. And when he was up to throw it, he put up 3 points. So I can't credit him for that. Then against New Orleans, 54% completion percentage. New Orleans got, they shut out the Raiders, but I don't think New Orleans is going to do anything really the rest of the way. They're 4-7. They're not a great team. So he kept and then the Carolina game. People were hating on Baker Mayfield for his bad performance. Lamar Jackson had an equally poor performance. Lamar Jackson played horrible in that game. He's dropped down. I mean, it's only, 1 spot, 2 spots. But Lamar Jackson right now, there's something going on. He's kept games that he should blow out teams. He's kept them relatively close. He's not efficient. The entire Ravens team in the fourth quarter has, sometimes they've sacrificed crucial leads that they've had. So this team's a little bit questionable going forward. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, but I guarantee they'll make the playoffs. So Lamar, number 6. He needs to step things up a little bit. Number 5, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's done really, really well. Really, really, really well. Since starting off 0-2, what are they now? Their record is now 6-4. So they've done pretty well in a rebound. They did lose to the Cleveland Browns. It was pretty dominant victory for the Browns, but for some reason Joe Burrow, it's just one of those teams where Joe Burrow just can't beat them. But otherwise, he's lost to the Ravens, which I don't know. It was a very, very close game, 19-17. He also lost to the Cowboys and the Steelers. And for some reason, the Steelers have Joe Burrow's number. He has a lot of turnovers when he plays the Steelers. 2 games, 7 turnovers. So Joe Burrow has a little bit of a question mark, but dealing without Jamar Chase, their offensive line still needs a little bit of work. I've been impressed with what I've seen with Joe Burrow. So he's on number 5. He's made the top 5 for me. Number 4 is Tua. Tua was at number 8 because I didn't know where he would be with the injury. But hey, the addition of Tyreek Hill and drafting Jalen Waddle, it's been amazing for Tua. So I got to put him here. He's played very, very well. Beating teams that they obviously should beat. They've won the past 4 games. Tua has only the past, 16 starts that Tua's had. They've lost 1 game, which is absurd. So I've been very, very impressed with Tua. So far, I mean, he's gone up from 8 to 4, I believe, in my ranking. He's beat teams like the Browns, the Bears, the Lions, the Steelers. Those are just the past 4 games. And then the teams where, you know what? I mean, he also beat the Bills. I'll also say that early on in the year. And he outthrew and outperformed Lamar Jackson in week 2 when Lamar's on that absolute tear early on in the season. He's beat Bill Belichick and his defense, and we'll get onto that later on in the show. But I've been very impressed with Tua. He's completed a bunch of his passes. He has, this year, let's see if I can bring it up quickly. He's completed over 70%. He's 71% completion percentage, 2,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So he's been playing phenomenally so far. I've been very, very impressed with Tua coming off the double concussion and his injury that he suffered in college. It's been very, very impressive to see how Tua works with Mike McDaniel's offense. And I sort of expected that because Mike McDaniel is a great offensive mind. He came from Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's an offensive genius most of the time. So we should have expected this a little bit. So good job to it. You're at number 4 for me. Number 3 is Josh Allen. I have tried to fight Josh Allen for being number 1 and leading the MVP race, and he almost lost to the Lions on Thanksgiving. And the past couple weeks, it just hasn't been Josh Allen. He's thrown a couple, are you kidding me, interceptions that, no person who's an elite quarterback sometimes would make those passes. They'd be you'd second guess, should I throw this ball? Josh Allen just letting it rip, and sometimes it's cost him. He's lost to the Jets. He lost to the Vikings on a fumble in his own end zone that got recovered by the Vikings. So Josh Allen right now, they're 8-3. They did end up beating the Lions. It came very, very late on a great pass to Stephon Diggs that really sealed the game for the game-winning field goal. Just a lot of question marks going forward with Josh Allen. The first half, or the first 2.5 quarters against the Browns looked like they were going to come out and win that game. So this Bills team is a little bit questionable. I think the AFC East isn't quite over. I don't think you could ink in the Bills as the number 1 seed in the AFC East, but I don't know. They have some question marks, especially in that running game. So Josh Allen, number 3. I've tried to fight for him for basically the entire year to stay number 1 and stay in the MVP conversation, but right now, I got to give it to the number 1 spot, who we'll get into next. Number 2, however, we got to start with number 2 before we get number 1, Jalen Hurts. I know. I said that the Eagles would most likely be the fraudulent winners in, Tuesday's show. But I got to give the Jalen Hurts. Throughout most of the year, he's performed very, very well. Running the ball, getting the first downs that are needed. It's just recently, I don't know what it is with the Eagles. I think some teams might have their number. I will say that. It's just a question mark because Jalen Hurts is still playing pretty well. They almost lost to the Colts, but it was because of Jalen Hurts on that last the last minute drive in the goal line. It was a QB run. He was able to score the touchdown to beat the Colts. So I gotta give him that. Most of the year he's been playing pretty well. So he's at number 2. But I think this gap between Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts is much tighter than between Jalen Hurts and the number 1 quarterback in the league right now, Patrick Mahomes. I tried to fight for Patrick Mahomes' dealing with Tyreek Hill. It's all because of Tyreek Hill. Oh, look at Travis Kelce. I've been wrong. I will say I've been wrong about Patrick Mahomes, at least this season. It seems like the Chiefs don't even miss Tyreek Hill right now. Mahomes has been very, very good this year. There's not much I could argue about it. He's just been playing phenomenally well. He's completed, I could bring it up right now if I get this done quickly. Sorry for the radio audience, you can't see this. He's completed 66.3% of his passes, 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That's crazy. 28 touchdowns in 12 weeks he's played? 11 weeks. 11 games, 28 touchdowns. The past 2 games, he's had 7 total touchdowns. He's had 3 games this year with 4 touchdowns or more. He has had a couple, iffy games, like against the Bills. He threw 2 interceptions in that game. They ended up losing. But he's gone toe-to-toe with the Chargers, and both times it's been up to him. It's been on Patrick Mahomes' shoulders to go out and win the game, and it's been successful. Mahomes has been the guy all year, basically, for the Chiefs. Him and Travis Kelce. They've been tremendous. So there's only been, there's been 4 games where he has had a passer rating below 100, which is crazy. It's ridiculous. At least recently, he's had a couple games where he needed to run the ball to be efficient, and it's been very successful. Andy Reid, he's found his diamond in the rough, I think. Well, I think he was picked number 11 in the draft. I could bring this up right now. He's picked number 10 in the 2017 draft. Andy Reid moved up to get him. He was very, very smart. Chiefs have been very, very successful with Patrick Mahomes. And this year, Mahomes seems like he doesn't even miss Tyreek Hill, which, hey, when you're being successful, I believe the Chiefs are what? I want to say 8-2. Yeah, 8-2. So they're going to go out here. They're minus 15-point favorites against the Rams. Hey, well, they're probably going to go 9-2, but they're definitely going to go 9-2 by the end of this week. Let's move on this is my full top 10 list. Mahomes, number 1. Jalen Hurts, number 2. Josh Allen, number 3. Tua at number 4. Joe Burrow, 5. Lamar, 6. Justin Fields, 7. Brady, 8. Geno Smith, 9. And Justin Herbert at number 10. Those are my top 10 quarterbacks. And let's move into Nate's notches. This is where I categorize each of the NFL teams after week 11. So let's jump right into it with the forgettables. These are the teams that you should just they're basically marking their season. Yep, they are done. No real success. Might have a game or two where they're like, oh my God, that's a great win. But in reality, it's like, it is what it is. And that would be, let's start off with the Broncos. Broncos have the number 1 defense against points allowed. The number 1 in points allowed. But their offense is dead last. And generally, when you have a dead last offense, but your defense is really good, you're not that successful. And with the Broncos, you just plain out not successful, period. So the Broncos, forget about them. Their season's over. Basically, take a piece of paper with the name Broncos, just throw it in the trash. It's over with. Rams, they lost Matt Stafford for a couple games. Cooper Kupp's out basically for the entire year. They released their running back one, even though Cam Akers was the one that had a problem with the team. They decided to release Darrell Henderson, which to me makes next to no sense, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go with the Rams. They're done. They're done. It's sad because Cooper Kupp, he's a phenomenal talent. It's sad just to see their season just go, yeah, we're done. Sorry about it, and just move on. So they're done. The next one's the Bears. I'm a little bit disappointed with this. It's because they started off not great, that they're not going to be that successful. They're right now last in their division. I don't think they're going to top the Packers. I don't think they're going to top the Lions. The Lions right now are number 2 in their division, and they're definitely not topping the Vikings. The Bears just are not going to make the playoffs. They might have a couple games where Justin Fields plays well, but when it comes to the success at the end of the year, they're just not going to be successful. So that's why they're the forgettables. The Lions, same thing with the Lions. They're a fun watch. I gotta admit, they're a fun watch. Dan Campbell, yeah, he has a lot of fire, a lot of passion. So that's why it's an interesting watch for the Lions. I mean, they almost beat the Bills, but it's the same thing. They're gonna have a couple games where they stay in it, and we're gonna look back and say, how did you not beat this team? But most of the year, or at least early on in the year, they were the number 1 scoring offense. Then the Patriots shut them out. And then their defense has just been pummeled with injuries. They're like the 32nd ranked defense in the league. They're at least bottom 3. The Lions just aren't that great of a team. I like Jared Goff. He's been playing well. There's a lot of talent on the Lions. It's just not coming together. So they're in the forgettables. The Panthers. It's crazy to say that the NFC South, when you're 4-7, you could have the number 1 seed in the NFC South. You might not even need to win 10 games to win this division. But the Panthers are just bad. They're starting Sam Darnold this week against what are they playing? I don't have it in front of me. I can just bring it up right here. The Panthers this week are playing the Broncos. Now, it's funny because we're going to get into my picks. I actually have them beating. I have the Panthers beating the Broncos, but when it comes to the totality of the season, they're just not there. Sam Darnold's going to get the start. They're done with Baker Mayfield. P.J. Walker's going to be out for a number of weeks. They got rid of Christian McCaffrey. Their defense is promising. I do like the fire and passion that their defense has. It's just not there as a team. So that's why they're forgettable. Let's move on to the Texans. Texans are the worst team in the league. They're 1-8-1. Lovie Smith, I don't know if he'll stay. We'll see. They're moving off Davis Mills. They're going to Kyle Allen. So, when you're moving off I believe they also fired someone on their staff. Might have been like an offensive coordinator or something like that. They're not great. They're 1-8-1, like I said. They're not even close to a good team. They're not even really close to a respectable team. So their season's been done since like week 4 maybe, but you never know. But now you do. It's week 12 now. We're heading into week 12. They're done. Steelers. I said at the very beginning of the year, this will be the first season Mike Tomlin does not have a winning record. And it's going to look like that. They're 3-7 right now. They're tied with the Browns. Deshaun Watson's coming back in like 2 weeks. We'll see how he does. I don't think Deshaun Watson will be great because I think he'll still have some rust. We saw in the preseason, he threw like 2 of 7 for like 7 yards or something like that. It was crazy bad. The Steelers are done. I have them losing to the Colts this week. They're done. The Browns, same situation, just slightly better. They're not gonna sniff the playoffs. They're not even gonna be anywhere near the playoffs. But I think it might be interesting because Jacoby Brissett didn't play that poorly. He just didn't play great. And so that's what you get when you have a 3-7 record. You have a okay to bad quarterback. You still have Nick Chubb, you still have Kareem Hunt. You have decent talent around you. Your defense is great. It's just the question mark of what's on the offensive side. And when it comes to the Steelers and the Browns, just the answers aren't there. So both these teams are in the forgettables category. The next one, these teams are in limbo. Can they make the push for the playoffs? Or are they just going to stay back and be or are they just going to fall off a cliff? I know. I have the Raiders here. I have the Falcons here, the Saints, and the Cardinals. Let's get with the first 2 teams, though, the Packers and the Jets. The Packers recently have been playing pretty well. Rodgers has been great. The defense has been okay. Not great, but okay. The running game has been pretty good. Can they make the push to try to get to a wild card spot? I'm still going to go with no, because that was what my pick was. I said from the beginning the Packers are not going to make the playoffs. Plus, Aaron Rodgers just came out and says he's been dealing with a broken thumb. So I think they're not going to exactly make the push. I think they're going to stay in this weird place, maybe win a game or two, and then lose a couple games. Win a game, lose. It's going to be the whole thing. Jets. Zach Wilson is not the answer for the Jets. He hasn't been. You can't keep waiting on a guy who's not mature enough to be a quarterback. Look at Johnny Manziel. He had problems. Baker Mayfield, same thing. He still gets, he had opportunities, but there wasn't really any other option there besides Baker Mayfield. And look what happens when there are other options. He got benched. He's not going to start again. Zach Wilson's not the answer. Without Breece Hall, I said back in week 8, without Breece Hall, it's going to be up to Zach Wilson on the offense to produce, and he just hasn't. He got benched from Mike White against the Bears. I have him in the playoffs. Somehow. They're still in playoffs as we speak right now. The Patriots just lost their playoff rights. So have to lose to the Vikings. So that's why they're in limbo. I just don't think they with Zach Wilson as your quarterback. We'll see how Mike White plays. Maybe they'll be forced to stay with Zach Wilson. I think they should have given Joe Flacco the job. But I'm not the GM and the head coach of the Jets. So that's where we're at now. The Falcons. I'm going to do the Falcons and the Saints. Both of them are in tandem strictly because the NFC South, anyone can win that division with a poor record. That's simply why they're here. It's not because they're great. It's not really because they're good. It's just because the NFC South is such a bad division. And for some reason, any division Tom Brady goes to seems to implode. The AFC East was not a great division. They were about 500 on average. Slightly below 500, some of those teams. But generally, the AFC East was a 500 division. The NFC South is not great this year. The entire NFC is not good this year. So the Falcons and the Saints, they're only in it strictly because the Bucs are 5-5, and these teams are like what? I think the Falcons are 5-6, and the Saints, I said, were 4-7. So there's a chance these teams can make the playoffs and win the NFC South. So that's why they're here. The Raiders. The Raiders are what? 3-7. I don't think the Raiders, first of all, they have a 5% chance to make the playoffs. I'll say that before I jump into this. 5% chance. They're not going to be the worst in their division, though. That's for the Broncos. So when it comes to minimal amounts of success, their defense has been the problem most of the year. Their offensive line, they got rid of their left tackle, Leatherwood, and their offensive line hasn't been great. Their defense has a lot of question marks, but the past couple weeks, the success has come from Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. It's just the rest of the team that has a little bit of an issue. Josh Jacobs has a couple games where he does really, really well, and then it's like the Rays don't even have a running back anymore. So they're not going to, I'm not saying they're making the playoffs here, but they could find, you know what, they might end the year, they're 3-7 right now. They could win maybe 4 more games, go to, 7-10, and I would consider that minimal amounts of success. They're not in the forgettables category, because it might be it might be more interesting than some of the forgettables teams. So, right there, I'm not saying they're making the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to beat, they're 2 games behind the Chargers and 5 behind the Chiefs. So they're nowhere near going to make the playoffs. It's just, they might be really interesting. Who knows? The Colts. The Colts are also pretty interesting because they are 4-6-1. And they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think so, because the AFC is stacked and there's a lot of teams that are like 2-3 games above them that will probably make the playoffs. So we'll see. But it's just interesting because Jonathan Taylor's finally getting going now. I think Matt Ryan's going to keep his starting job. So we'll have to see what happens there. But if Jonathan Taylor keeps it going, I think let's see. They're 4-6-1. They would need to win, 6 straight games to get to 10 wins. I don't think that's possible. But I could see them going, I see them 8-9 wins this year. So it'll be interesting to see. 8-9 wins. Yeah, so 4 out of their last 6 games. Maybe. And then the Cardinals. With DeAndre Hopkins back, it makes their team a lot more viable. It's just Kyler Murray's been dealing with injuries. They had Colt McCoy and Trace McSorley in there for 2 straight weeks. That's been some key losses right there. So it's just Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see maybe next season. It looks like J.J. Watt won't re-sign with the Cardinals next year. So that's something to look into. So the Cardinals are just a little bit interesting. Let's move on to the next thing. We have interesting teams. So this category is interesting teams. Not necessarily great, but they're not terrible. The Giants. With Daniel Jones, first of all, Daniel Jones is not the guy. I don't know where people are getting this idea that Daniel Jones is the savior for the Giants. Like he's going to be your franchise quarterback. Your offense is coming strictly, probably 90% of your wins there are because of Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones has been dinking and dunking this entire year. Oh, he doesn't have a lot of receivers. You say the same thing when they win games. Oh, but you can't because it's because of Saquon Barkley that's making you win games. Your defense has been good basically a lot of the year. You're dealing with a little bit of injuries right now, but you know you're not great. You're not a great team. I view you as a 5 seed. You might make the playoffs as the 7 seed, but you are slipping fast. Without Saquon Barkley being efficient, this team is slipping very, very fast. The Seahawks. I said from the beginning. Then first of all, from the beginning, I said they were going to go for the number 1 pick. But now, since week 8, it looks like they're going to make the playoffs, even though I said they'd probably drop out in my last standings prediction. But if they're going to make the playoffs, they're not going to go that far. There's not. Geno Smith has been very efficient, 71% completion percentage, or maybe it was 72%, low 70s. Still, it's tremendous. This far into the season, you have 70% completion percentage. Kenneth Walker seems to be a great player. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they're all great talents. Your offensive line has been improved a little bit. Your defense has been okay. This team is interesting because we thought they were down in the gutter. You know, they're done. They're going to fight for the number 1 pick, which I thought was going to be the Falcons and Houston and maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars. Though those 4 teams would be fighting for the number 1 pick. It looks like that's not so much. It looks like the Seahawks are actually going to make the playoffs, which is very, very interesting. The Titans. The only reason why they're here at interesting and not in the next category, which I believe is playoff secured, is because I didn't think they'd be this good. I thought with Matt Ryan on the Colts would be in the playoffs right now. But this team with Derrick Henry, I mean, they're interesting. They didn't have a single first down in the second half against the Chiefs and yet brought them to overtime. This might be one of the best coached teams in the league. Vrabel's got his team down. The defense is great. So this team is interesting. The Commanders, Taylor Heineke has some black magic to him. He's been doing stuff weird. He's been doing weird things ever since he got his first start against Tampa and almost beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. So this team, let's see, they are 6-5. They can make a jump over the Giants this week. There's a chance. And I think they're -3.5 favorites this week. I believe they're playing the Falcons. I'm not too sure though. They're playing the Falcons this week. I have them winning that game. There's a chance that they might get into the 7th seed, which would be absolutely crazy. The Patriots. Mac Jones almost threw for 400 yards. It seems like they're okay. The defense is questionable. The special teams is questionable. So that I have some concerns about. And then the Bucs, they seem to have a running game. Rashad White seems to be taking over the starting role, which Leonard Fournette's mad about that. But when you play poorly, not much you could do. Defense seems to be okay, not great. Brady has been generally consistent the entire year. So we'll see what they do if they probably when they get into the playoffs. There's a chance they do miss out in the playoffs, like we talked about with the Saints and the Falcons. We'll see. The next one is good but flawed. These 3 teams have flaws in them, but they are generally a good team. The 49ers, as long as they don't get into a shootout, they'd be fine. If they get into a shootout, I'm not going to pick Jimmy G in a shootout. If their defense could hold up and it's a close game, I would put it in Jimmy G's hands to win that game. Simple as that. The Vikings. As long as they don't play a prime, they just beat the Patriots, but the refs were not great in that Patriots game. A lot of missed calls, a lot of bad calls. If they generally do not play in a primetime game, if it's a 1 p.m. game, they will be fine. But if it's a primetime game, for some reason, Kirk Cousins does not play great. So that's their big flaw. And their defense also isn't that great passing defense-wise. I believe they're 31st or 32nd. So this team has a little bit of a flaw to it. They can move. Most teams can move up and down the field. And then the Chargers. It looks like their head coach might be out the door next season. We'll get into we'll get into that. Sean Payton might be coming over there to the Chargers, but the running game isn't great. Austin Eckler's a great receiving back, not a great running back. Justin Herbert has these occasional, lapses of, is he great? Is he overrated? Maybe, who knows? Their defense, a lot of question marks because J.C. Jackson, who they spent big sums of money on, he got hurt and wasn't even good when he played. Asante Samuel Jr. is okay, not great. I believe they have Kyle Van Noy, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa. They haven't really been a great defensive front seven, so there's question marks there, but they are generally a good team. And the playoffs secured, and I'll just close out with these top three topics here, or top three tiers. Playoffs secured, Cowboys defense has been great, and Dak Prescott has been playing generally okay. So that's why they're definitely going to make the playoffs. I've seen great things with Tua and this Dolphins team. Their defense is the big question mark there, but they are going to make the playoffs. And the two, AFC North teams of Baltimore and Cincinnati, those teams are both really good. The Cincinnati offense is really good. The Ravens defense is seemingly coming to life right now. Lamar Jackson, that offense needs to catch up with that defense right now, though. And then the so close, I dropped the Bills down from the Super Bowl favorite into so close because they have a lot of question marks about the running game. Josh Allen is not fully Josh Allen right now. So that's why they've dropped down. They're not Super Bowl favorites right now. Honestly, you could probably put either the Cowboys, the Ravens. You could put any one of those playoff secured, or maybe even the good but flawed into the so close. But Josh Allen isn't there yet. He's been dealing with some injuries, but he's not. The entire Bills team is not there. Their defense, Von Miller could be out for the year. Maybe. He's definitely going to miss some time, though. He missed an ACL tear, which is good. But their team's not there like we saw it early in the season. And then the Eagles, the past 2 weeks, they lost to the Commanders, and they almost lost to the Colts. Can they make a push to be consistent? Can Jalen Hurts, when they don't have the ball a lot, can he score when they do get the ball? We'll have to take a look and see. And then the Super Bowl favorite, the Chiefs. The Chiefs pretty much are going to be Super Bowl favorites. It should be throughout the rest of the league. Whoever's making, tier lists and have Super Bowl favorites, you should definitely have the Chiefs up there because they deserve it. Mahomes has been playing essentially lights out. The team looks really good. Doesn't even look like they missed Tyreek Hill, like I said earlier. So good for the Chiefs. They're the Super Bowl favorite right now. But I will take a quick break. But coming up next, we will be discussing all the Thanksgiving games. Sean Payton's next potential coaching job. Could be with the Chargers, could be with the Cardinals. We'll discuss that and our full coverage of Week 12 and the games right after the break.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. I'm now being joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. As always, Thanksgiving.
Thanks a lot, Nate.
Yeah, no problem. Let's get into this. Let's move on to our next topic, which is the Thanksgiving games. There were a lot of games on Thanksgiving. We had the Bills, we had the Lions, we had the Cowboys, we had the Giants, and we wrapped up Thanksgiving night with the Patriots and the Vikings. What was your? Let's break it down. Let's do the first game, which was the Bills and the Lions. What was your takeaway from that game?
I think it showed that the Bills are still a little iffy. You know, about they're not as dominant a team as they were early in the year. They haven't been dominant in the last 3-4 games, and part of it's Josh Allen's play. And part of it is just the whole team now. Von Miller got hurt. They don't know how long he's going to be out. He had an MRI today, I think, to see how bad his knee was hurt. And, Detroit gave him a run for their money. And that shouldn't happen, I don't think, to a team that appeared to be as dominant as they did early in the season. So I think there's a few questions about the Bills. You mentioned in your prior session here their running game. Their running game is not great, and they were making it up with Josh Allen's passing. And lately, he gets in the red zone, he throws interceptions. So I don't know. I think that game showed that the Bills maybe there's a few question marks there, and they're a little spotty at times, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of question marks going with the Bills. The Lions aren't, like, I'm gonna say they're not legit, but
they just don't have enough defense. I think that their offense is pretty good.
Yeah, their offense is okay.
Yeah, but their defense is not good.
Right. I don't know. I can bring up their ranking right now.
I mean, they had a chance to win that game yesterday, and they went to sleep there at the end. You have to play all 60 minutes.
Right.
They let that long pass right down the middle of the field. Got Buffalo in position to make a couple of additional plays and then kick a field goal.
Right. They are 28th in passing defense and 31st in rushing defense. So they're not a great team.
No.
Really at all. Let's go with the
their offense is okay. What their offense is ranked?
They're 10th in rushing, 11th in passing.
Okay, so they're pretty good on the offense.
Yeah, they're not too bad. Let's move on to the Cowboys and the Giants game. What was the biggest takeaway from that game?
Well, that was a measurement game for the Giants, and they failed. Right? That was a game where you could say if they won that game, well, they're legit and they're a contender, and they've got a good chance to make the playoffs. And they didn't play well at all in the second half, and they made a lot of mistakes. They don't really have that many players, I don't think. I mean, I don't think Daniel Jones is a world beater. Saquon Barkley hasn't done anything for 2 weeks. He only had like 30 yards in that game. And he dropped a pass, although the pass wasn't very well thrown, but he should have caught it on the fourth down. And they probably shouldn't have gone for it on fourth down. That's when the game turned around. That was a coaching mistake. They should have said, let's punt it away, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't behind. They were right in the game at that point. There was no point. There was no reason they had to do that.
Yeah.
So that was a coaching mistake, I think, and that got Dallas going. And but they should have made that fourth down play. Barkley was open, and Jones threw a poor ball. It was catchable, but behind him, and Barkley couldn't haul it in. So I don't know. I don't think the Giants are going to make the playoffs.
You think their playoff chances are basically zero now?
Well, small. I wouldn't say zero, but
even with the horrible NFC, you think their playoff chances are that low?
I don't know. The remaining schedule. I think that there aren't that many games on there that they easily can win.
Let's see. I can bring it up right now. This is the Giants. They play the Commanders twice, the Eagles
Commanders
twice.
are on a roll.
I think the Commanders. I think they can at least split.
They'll split for sure. So that's one win.
Then you have double Eagles,
They ain't gonna win either of those games.
Vikings, and Colts.
I don't think they might win. They might win the Colts game.
Yeah, so
So they got two more games. They've won 7, right?
yeah,
So 9,
it's.
9 and 8. That's not going to get them into the playoffs.
I believe the last time I checked, their over/under for wins was 11.5. I believe that was going to week.
I'd go
9.
the under on that one.
I'd probably agree with you with the under.
Yeah.
But my takeaway from the Cowboys was the Cowboys' defense is really good,
Yeah. Well, they've been good for a number
have.
of games now.
and Dak Prescott has his moments. Sometimes he plays really great, and then sometimes he plays really poorly, like against the Packers. So he's generally inconsistent, but he played very, very well against this Giants defense, which is not terrible. They've been dealing with injuries a little bit, but they're not a terrible defense.
That's another point. The Giants have a lot of injuries.
Right.
Their offensive line, there were a bunch of people that were out,
Yeah.
and they had some defensive players that were out as well. They don't really have a great receiving core.
No.
Right?
No.
So I don't think they got the players to get them to the playoffs now. I think that they got maybe 2 wins.
Right.
That gets them 9. 9 isn't going to get them into the playoffs. So
You're probably right.
yeah. On the other hand, I think the Cowboys, they're going to make it. I think they'll make the playoffs. Defense wins championships, as they say.
Right.
And they've got a great defense, and their offense isn't half bad either. Yeah. Dak Prescott had kind of a rough first half there, but they rallied in the second half. They look really good in the second half. They've got some impact players, right? Pollard and the wide receiver, number 88, Lamb.
Yeah, CD
Yeah,
Lamb.
Lamb and Gallup. So they've got, and Prescott.
The tight end,
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz, also
Actually,
did pretty good.
Elliott played pretty well yesterday.
I was
too.
very surprised. He had a couple big runs. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's the
He had almost
Ezekiel
100
we love.
yards. Yeah.
Tony Pollard didn't play that bad either.
Yeah.
So
Pollard's a good receiver too.
they generally have a complete team.
Yeah.
When you take a look at it,
I
It's
think
just-
so. I think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think they'll
I
be a
agree with you.
wild card, but because I think the Eagles are going to win the division, but I
Could
think
be.
the Cowboys will be a playoff team.
I agree with you there. And then probably the game you love to watch, Thursday night,
Yeah.
Patriots at Vikings.
I
What was your
very
biggest
disappointed
takeaway?
on that game? Well, you mentioned a lot of bad calls in that game. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
They missed the face mask on Daniel Jones. I mean, on
Kirk
Mac
Cousins.
Jones.
Yeah,
on Mac
yeah,
Jones,
Mac Jones,
right?
Mac Jones, yeah.
They called 2 face masks on Jonathan Jones.
Right.
And
You also
that
have
was a
the
tough game.
the
And then
roughing the kicker.
the roughing the kicker call, right? I mean,
Yeah.
his helmet hit the kicker's foot when it was up the top.
Yeah.
If he'd been just a little lower, he would have missed it.
Right.
And so Belichick was furious on that play, and I don't blame him. I mean, you don't run into the kicker when you're getting the ball back late in the game. That and he was going for the block, and he missed it. So, yeah, that was a tough game. I think the offense played pretty well for the Patriots, and the Mac Jones he had 2 touchdown passes and over 400 yards.
Almost 400.
Almost 400
Like
yards.
389.
But the Vikings have a terrible pass defense anyway.
Yeah.
So, and later in the game though, the Patriots offensive line couldn't protect him. But again, he holds he was throwing the ball
382.
quickly most of the time, and that's a good move for them. He should be doing that all the time. But when he stood back there and looked around, they got him, and they sacked him, and they had a safety in that game, right?
Yeah.
And that was unexcusable. You can't have a safety. He should be able to throw it out of bounds when he feels that
Did
pressure.
they have a safety? Because there was one against the Lions. I don't think the Patriots had a safety.
Oh no, maybe it wasn't the.
Yeah, I don't think
No.
they had a safety.
No, it was on. It was on. I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the Patriots now. It's going to be a very hard road for them to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're playing a lot of tough teams down the stretch here. They got the Bills twice,
Yep.
and
Dolphins again.
and the Dolphins. But the Dolphins at home. They generally beat the Dolphins at home, and I'd like to see them split with the Bills, but that will be tough. At least they got them at home next Thursday night, right? So they have. Who do they have besides those?
Next week they play the Bills.
Yeah.
So that's a Thursday night game as well. And then they go from Thursday to Monday to the Cardinals.
They should win that game.
At Raiders.
At Raiders, they should win that game.
And then home against the Bengals and Dolphins, and then at Bills.
Yeah, so they should win. They get the chance to win
3 games.
maybe 4.
4 would be
Right.
pushing.
They get the Bills once, right?
Yeah, you think they're going to split?
I think they're split.
Sure.
The Cardinals, they should beat them.
The Raiders.
The Raiders, they should beat them.
Bengals,
The Dolphins, they should beat them. They have the Bengals at home.
Yes.
They could win 5.
They're not going to beat the Bengals. If Bill Belichick's
think they could
amazing
beat the
defense couldn't beat Justin Jefferson, how are you going to beat T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? How?
You can get into Burrow's head. He's a young quarterback still. Yeah.
How?
Well, that defense that's a good defense. That was the main reason they lost last night, because the defense gave up too many points. They couldn't stop Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
They stopped Dalvin Cook pretty much. He didn't do anything too special.
27 attempts, 57 yards total.
So he didn't do a whole lot. They couldn't get to Cousins.
Nope.
He had too much time to
One
find
sack
Jefferson.
for 9 yards.
And that was the difference. They could not.
I think the difference was penalties. That's what I think it was.
Well, that was important too. And the Patriots had 3 personal foul penalties.
I don't know how.
They had 2 against Jonathan Jones.
It was 6 penalties for 55
but they missed
yards.
that. They missed that face mask, and that was
They did?
that was a 4th down play, I believe, or a 3rd down play. I can't remember which one it was, but that would have given them a first 15 more yards. They might have gotten a score, and that roughing the kicker call, which was an accurate call, but stupid on the part of the Patriots. So
Right.
it's a close game, but again, they lost.
I'm gonna put this all on the offense did fine. You know, when Mac Jones throws for almost 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, goes, let's see, 28 of 39. I can't blame the offense. I'm blaming the defense here.
Well, that was a running game, though. I don't think they got.
The running game was
good
non-existent, but Mac, you put up 382 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah.
29
No,
of
he
the
played
28
okay.
of 39.
He played okay,
He played
but he can't.
great.
They can't get into the end zone when they get down in the red zone. They can't find a way
They
to get
shouldn't
into
have
the end
needed
zone.
to. They should have needed
You know, the
to.
Hunter Henry catch, right? You could have argued that he caught it. I mean, he hit the ground, and the ball wasn't moving when he hit the ground, but then when he rolled over, it bounced up.
Right.
I still think that they could have called that a touchdown. I think they were favoring the Vikings, the refs.
Of course you are. The Patriots did not do well on 3rd down. They went 3 of 10. But the defense allowed the Minnesota Vikings to go 8 of 15 on 3rd down.
Yeah.
The defense could not get off the field. 36 minutes time of possession for the Vikings to only 23 for the Patriots.
Yeah.
So Belichick's amazing defense. You go from a great defensive performance in the last game to this monstrosity.
They didn't have a lot of time to prepare, right?
They're an NFL team.
I know, but both teams didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So
The Vikings also lost 40-3. Then they go 4 days to play the Patriots and Belichick's defense. Put up 36 on them?
yeah, well,
It was this one. 33-26. Belichick did not coach a great game. The defense was amazing. Or the offense was amazing. The defense was pitiful, absolutely pitiful. You can't defend Bill Belichick anywhere here, unless you're gonna say, "Oh, Belichick, amazing offense," even though he doesn't touch the offense generally. So this one, this one's on Bill Belichick. Did not coach great.
yeah.
Once again, the penalties. They had 6 penalties for 55 yards. That's a sign of bad coaching. I don't know what it is. Maybe your coordinators and your linebackers coaching, your defensive coaches, could be them. But they've had 5 or more penalties in five straight games.
They make more mistakes than a normal Patriots team.
Yeah.
I will say that they've made some mistakes that have cost them games.
It's not that they have super young guys. Most of these guys are veterans.
That roughing a kick penalty, the Vikings, after they got the ball back there, they went right down the field and scored a touchdown. So.
Right.
And they scored a lot of points in the 4th quarter. I think the defense.
Plus, they had a 97-yard kickoff return touchdown.
Yeah. That Yeah, a lot of mistakes there.
Yeah. It was
Uncommon for the Patriots special teams to let something like that happen. But they did show that Duggar was held
right
by, and the guy ran right by him there, and he was being held, and they didn't catch that. That was another one, another penalty that wasn't caught. Yeah.
The refs did not have a great day, but that is what it is.
They had a good day for the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings got very, very lucky. Let's move on into our next topic. We're talking about Sean Payton, who currently works with FS1 as an analyst and as a commentator. There's a report out that Sean Payton is eyeing up a Cardinals head coaching job or a Chargers head coaching job if one becomes available. So I'm going to ask you, which head coaching job do you think is a better fit for Sean Payton? And should he come back to either one of these teams, or do you think there should be a option C? Which team do you think Sean Payton would fit in if it's not the Cardinals or the Chargers?
I think the Chargers are a better fit for him.
Okay.
I think that, he won a lot with basically a drop back passer, which Drew Brees was, and Justin Herbert is kind of in that mold. I think Herbert would benefit from having Sean Payton as his coach, and the Chargers have the nucleus of a pretty good team there. I think. I don't know why they're having a tougher time this year. Maybe it is the coaching that's the problem, but they have some good players on defense, right? Bosa, Mack, Van Noy, Jackson, but he got hurt. He didn't play well, but he is capable of playing well. And on offense, they've got some great receivers, right? So, and Herbert could be. He has got some pretty good stats there in his first 3 years in the NFL. So, I think that would be the better choice for him.
I would probably agree with you. Chargers have, I think, a lot more talent than the Cardinals do. In total, in Sean Payton's coaching career, he's won 63.1% of his games, 152 wins to 89 losses. He coached the undersized quarterback in Drew Brees. Didn't have a tremendous arm, but he coached them. New Orleans won a Super Bowl in 2009. Drew Brees had multiple seasons of 5,000 yards, which is crazy. He's an amazing coach, Hall of Fame coach, absolutely. So I'd probably agree with you. Yeah, the Chargers are the best option because I think it more so fits Sean Payton's coaching style. The Cardinals have a lot of talent, though. I don't want to say that. They do have a tremendous amount of talent. DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt is there now. Probably won't be there next year.
He's getting old.
He is, but he's still gonna keep playing. Who knows if
DeAndre Hopkins is their best talent.
Yeah.
On that team.
Kyler
Murray
James Conner
is a very athletic, but his decision making sometimes is not so great.
Right.
And he gets hurt too. He was hurt last year for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Justin Herbert fits more so Sean Payton's coaching style. Do you think he'll come back?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Where did this rumor come from? Did it come from him? Did he say he was interested in coming back?
It was
or is somebody just getting this cooking so they got something to talk about?
No, it came from. I don't know if I have the source right in front of me, but it did not come from him. Sean Payton did not come out here and say it himself. Someone close to Sean Payton came out with this.
I see.
So generally, if something
I think there are
other
teams that he could potentially go to, but I think the Chargers would be a good choice for him.
Do you think there's any other team that could, benefit from having Sean Payton besides just these two options?
The Bucs.
They're not going to fire Todd Bowles after a year.
I don't know.
You really think they're going to fire Todd Bowles?
I don't know. I didn't say they would fire him, but I do think the Bucs would benefit from having Sean Payton as their coach.
I mean, I also...
That might bring Brady back for another year. Could bring Brady back for another year if they had Sean Payton.
Maybe.
I don't dislike Todd Bowles. I'm not saying that I
ESPN, by the way,
him.
is doing this report. ESPN.
Yeah. I'm not against Todd Bowles in any way, shape, or form, but they haven't performed. They're 5-5 under him.
That's true.
And he's not that animated over on the sidelines. He just stand there and watch the game. He doesn't really show much emotion or anything. So I think the Bucs could benefit from having Payton as their coach. I mean, there was
I'd probably
talk of Brady going to Miami and Peyton being the coach there.
Yes.
And I don't know why that all fell through, but
because of the Brian Flores lawsuit.
oh, I see. So anyway, that might have happened, and Brady would have been up for that. So
Yeah.
he likes Peyton, and Peyton, I'm sure, would love to have Brady.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
So that would be the other team I would think that might benefit from Peyton. But I do think I'm predicting the Chargers. Unless the Chargers rally and get to the playoffs and their coaches takes them deep into the playoffs, then he'll stay there. But he made some bad mistakes last year in that last game. He went for fourth down when they were down on their own 30-yard line.
He's been doing that since he started.
And it wasn't like they were behind or anything. It was still a very close game, and it was early in the game. I don't know why he did that. That wound up being the difference.
He's an analytical head coach.
Oh yeah.
Because generally, if you're 4th and 1 or 4th and goal in like the 5-yard line, analytics say you have a higher chance to win the game or score if you go for it, or score a touchdown, I should say, if you go for it, rather than just kicking it away.
Yeah.
So that's why it generally doesn't work out too well. But then again, analytics say it does, which is weird. I guess it just works for some really good teams and just doesn't work for others. So, but I mean, we have to realize both these teams need to fire their head coaches. That's the first thing. They need to fire these head coaches. God, can you fire? Was it Brandon Staley after 3-4 years of him? 2, 3? I don't even know how many years he's been coaching. I think it's 3 though. Maybe. But the Todd Bowles thing, believe me, Brady and Peyton, that would be a tremendous combination. I just don't think that'll happen. Let's move on to our next topic, which I believe I have here. Yeah, the Week 12 predictions. Me and my dad do pick each of the teams. Let's go through this relatively quickly. Let's not spend too much time on it. We'll just quickly go through each of these picks. Let's begin with the first one. Let's just go each of these. I believe, I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, this is not exactly updated, and I'll get into why. But let's just go quickly through it. You went, let's see, you're 2 for 1, 2-1 on wins.
Yeah.
And
I
2
picked
for
the
1 on
Patriots
spread.
and lost.
Right.
And we talked about these first 3 games, so we
Right.
don't really need to get into those. I think the Broncos and the Panthers, that'd be a close game. Neither team's very good. Maybe Russell Wilson's the difference in that game, so that's why I picked the Broncos. The Commanders and the Falcons have a way of hanging around and stealing some games. I don't think that will happen this Sunday. I think the Commanders have found new life with Tyler Heineke as their starting quarterback, and he's been giving the starter's job, and he's put a spark in that team, and he's played well. So I think that will continue. Miami against the Texans, that's prohibitive. I think the point spread 13.5. I don't think the Dolphins are going to cover that actually, but I think they're going to win, and I think they'll probably control the game, most of the game. The Jets in Chicago, I thought Chicago was a better team after I watched them play the Patriots. That was the first game Fields really started running the ball quite a bit, and I don't think the Patriots are ready for that. And their defense played well against the Patriots, so I think Chicago's capable of winning this game. It's at the Jets, and now Mike White is taking over as the starting quarterback, which I don't agree with. I think it should be Flacco, but it is what it is. I don't know why they're going to White, actually. He's really not a very proven guy. He's only had a few starts. One was great, and then the other 2, he got hurt in one, and the other one he played lousy. So you got Flacco, who's been to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. A very experienced quarterback. The Jets have a shot at the playoffs. They're in better shape than they've been in years, right? This is the first time that, and this deep in the season, that they're relevant. So why wouldn't they say the future is now and put Flacco in there? What do you think? I don't understand why they're not putting Flacco in there.
I think it's more so because Mike White's a young QB, and you know what? I doubt this is true, but it could be. Is Mike White the solution over Zach Wilson? Because I don't think you're going to give the job to Joe Flacco.
No, I don't think it's long term, but why wouldn't they do it now just to see if they could pick up a few? I mean, this Chicago game's a very winnable game.
Right.
Flacco played well early in the season, right? He was ranked up the first 3 games.
He had
Wasn't he
900
ranked?
yards. Yeah,
He was ranked as one of the top quarterbacks,
He was
right?
top 3 in passing yards.
I'm sure he's disappointed, that he didn't get picked to start this game. I would say if White plays terrible, then you'll see Flacco come in off the bench.
Maybe.
And you may see Flacco starting there pretty soon. And they better not wait too long. If they lose this game and then they do another one with White and lose that one, then forget it. Then they're done. So they haven't got the margin for error is very small here. I think they should have gone to Flacco. And I didn't like the way the head coach handled the benching of Zach Wilson.
Really?
Yeah, he just said that the quarterback position is open. He should have gone and talked to Wilson, told him why he was doing it, and then just said, we're benching Wilson and White is going to be our quarterback instead of leaving it up in the air like that. I don't think that's fair to the quarterbacks when you do that. And I don't think it shows much leadership either. So I don't think that was good. Okay, on to, but I do think the Jets will win. So,
After all that.
after all that, I do think they're going to win. Not because of Mike White coming into the game, but their defense is very good. And I think that will be the difference. I do think the Bucs will continue their winning ways. They're not playing a very good team in the Browns. And I think that they will beat the Browns. And when does Deshaun Watson? He's coming
Week
back.
13.
And we're
So
in
that-
week now.
we are week 12.
So
Goes back
he's coming back next week.
next week against the Texans.
Yeah. So, and what is their record? What's the Browns' record?
3-7 right
Yeah.
now.
So they're done. They're not gonna do anything. So even with him
Rough.
coming back, doesn't mean not gonna make any difference. So I like the Bucs in this game. I think Brady will have a good game. Their defense is looking better. The running game's looking a lot better. They're looking like a good team. They're leading their division now, even though they're only 5-5. And they do definitely play well after buys. The last 2 seasons, they've done very well after the bye. So I think they'll be on a roll here the rest of the season. The Ravens against the Jaguars. I like the Ravens. I think they've got a good team. Good defense, good offense. Lamar Jackson playing up to his talent level here lately. I think they'll cover that point spread and beat the Jaguars, who have shown a little life earlier on, but lately they haven't been so good. And Trevor Lawrence throwing too many interceptions again. I don't know. I thought Peterson had found something in him and got him going there, but not lately. So I think that trend continues and the Ravens win. The Bengals against the Titans. The Titans are, in my mind, a playoff team now, right? They're going to win their division, I think. They were the number 1 seed last year. They look a lot like last year's team lately, right? With Henry pounding the ball in there and generally getting well over 100 yards every game. And Tannehill not losing it for them, right? He actually played very well last week.
Right.
And maybe they found the formula there. They have a very good defense. They played the Chiefs very well, right? They showed that they were a quality team, and I do think that they will win this game. The Bengals, on the other hand, I think they're suffering from the Super Bowl hangover, losing the Super Bowl. The next year, the team generally doesn't do that well. And the year before, the Bengals didn't play well at all, and they just found it last year and played really well. They haven't really found it this year, although they have Jamar Chase coming back for this game. So they have some weapons, that's for sure. And Burrow is he can light him up when he's feeling it. So I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Titans will pull it out because they're at home. And the Chargers versus the Cardinals, we're talking about those two teams. I think the Cardinals I think there's poison there between Kyler Murray and the Kingsbury, and I think even if Sean Payton doesn't come take his job, somebody else probably will next season. Murray, I don't know, is he playing? Is he going to play?
I think he's expected to.
He's
Yeah.
expected to play. Colt McCoy did well his first game. He didn't look so good down in Mexico City, although he was playing against San Francisco, who has a very good defense. So, yeah, I think this one will be pretty close, but I think the Chargers will pull it out. And then I think the Seahawks will beat the Raiders. Geno Smith having a career year, playing very well. They have the Seahawks have a solid team. Now they have that rookie running back who's very good. The defense is solid. Geno Smith throwing lasers, man. He's got a rocket arm, and he throws a very nice ball. And they've got some good receivers there too with Lockett and Metcalf. So I think the Seahawks win this game. The Raiders, they're done. They're not going to do anything this year now. They only won 3 games, and they've lost some games they should have won. I think the coaching has been very poor, and I think if they hindsight being 2020, they would have stuck with the coach that came in on the interim basis last year, who's now the Green Bay special teams coach. Gee, I feel bad for that guy. He did a great job. San Francisco, that's a prohibitive favorite here. The Saints are not going to beat San Francisco with their defense, with San Francisco's defense. Andy Dalton going up against them. He'll return to throwing interceptions again this week. And Jimmy G, very solid, played great down in Mexico City. The San Francisco looked like a Super Bowl team, which they very well could be. The Kansas City against the Rams are done. Right? They're not going anywhere. And they've lost all their top players are hurt. Stafford's got concussion. Kupp is a high ankle sprain, right? And they're not going to be playing. And they let go their top running back. I'm not sure why. And their defense hasn't been very good. And they're going to get burned by Mahomes and company. And Travis Kelce, my God, he's all world. That guy, he looks great. In the last game, he had 3 touchdowns. That guy is mobile. He could be a wide receiver. He's got the size and bulk of a tight end and the speed and moves of a wide receiver. The guy's great. So I think that connection will be working well against the Rams, whose secondary is, despite having some big names back there, has played terrible, right?
Yeah.
Green Bay against the Eagles. Green Bay's done. They're not going anywhere. Aaron Rodgers, he came out and said he broke his thumb way back. How come he didn't say anything about it when it happened? You know, now that they're licking their wounds, he's complaining. He comes up and says, "I broke my thumb." Okay, well, should have said something about it before when it happened. That was weeks ago. So I don't think broken thumb at all are going to lose to the Eagles, I think. But it could be a close game because the Eagles have been a little spotty lately, right? So we'll see. And that's a Sunday night football game, so
yes,
we'll be watching that one. And then the Colts and the Steelers. I'm picking the Colts. That means I'm going to get it wrong. I've only got the Colts right once this year. They're a hard team to pick, man. Now they've got Jeff Saturday over on the sideline doing push-ups. And but Taylor is back, and that's the difference there. I think he's going to run well. Although T.J. Watt is back for the Steelers, so that makes a difference. But Kenny Pickett is a rookie, and he just doesn't look that great. I was watching the game last week. They had a chance to win that game, and he just didn't seem to have the spark to get him going there. So I'm liking the Colts to win that game.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's it for me. I'd like to improve on my win-loss record, which is great. And I've come back some in the spread, but I'm still not up to 500 yet.
I'm a little nervous because we each picked the Colts this week, so I'm a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah, right, because I never get it right.
Yeah, so there's not much to really talk about besides the fact that I lost thanks to the Giants' late touchdown. I missed out on the Cowboys spread. Cowboys spread was perfect. It was perfectly aligned for me to cover, and they got a late touchdown. It couldn't happen. One thing I want to highlight is I'm picking against the Raiders here because I just think the defense is right now their main problem. And we'll get into my Harvey hot hand in just a couple seconds here, but I don't know. The rest of these teams, it's kind of counterintuitive what I'm doing here between picking the plus 13.5 for the Texans, but then also going minus 15 for the Chiefs. And the only reason why I'm doing that is strictly because the minus 15, the Rams are literally they have nobody. They don't have Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's dealing with a concussion. Could be back this week, but probably not. Cooper Kupp, he's not there anymore. He's hurt. They got rid of Darrell Henderson, the number 1 running back, and their defense is nowhere to be found. So I have to pick the Chiefs minus 15 because the Chiefs are on a roll right here. One that I'm a little bit hesitant on is actually the minus 3.5 with the Ravens. I don't think they're in my Harvey hot hand. I have it right in front of me here. If they are, then I'm worried a little bit. But other than that, we have the same picks, so it should be an interesting week. A very, very interesting week. But let's move into it. It is time for my Harvey hot hand. This is the 12th week I'm doing this, so let's jump right into it. Let's change the graphic. There we go. All right, let's begin. The first one is the Bucks-Browns minus 3.5. Bucks get the big win. The running game seems to be there. The only question is, can you stop Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? I think they'll have a tough time doing it, but I still think they will get the win and cover the 3.5. I think Jacoby Brissett makes a mistake here that costs him the game. Bucks get the win, 28-20, cover the 3.5 spread. Next one, Eagles, Packers. This is going to be a close game, but the Packers barely cover this plus 6.5. Eagles don't look 100% like they are. They're weird right now. They lost to the Commanders, almost lost to the Colts. They have some question marks there. I think the Packers barely cover the spread. They legitimately just cover it in total. Like, what's that? 6 points? Barely cover, but they do. Eagles do get the win, though, 27-21. Next one, Commanders, minus 3.5 over the Falcons. Taylor Heineke has some black magic to him. This Commanders defense isn't great, but it's good enough. And right now, the Commanders offense is looking pretty good right now. Pretty good. So I'll take Taylor Heineke. I'll take that offense. I'll take that defense. They cover and win 31-24, cover the minus 3.5 point spread. The next one is the Seahawks and Raiders. I just mentioned this slightly before. The Seahawks right now, their offense, they need to bounce back from the Germany game. I think they will. I think Kenneth Walker will play better. The Raiders defense is the huge question mark. I think Geno Smith, that offense, and Kenneth Walker, they'll bounce back, get a pretty big win here, an important win, win 34-28 and cover the minus 3.5 point spread. And I believe this is the last one. It is the Jets and Bears. I am picking the Jets here because I think with Mike White as the quarterback, Elijah Moore will be happier. The entire offense will be happier because it's not Zach Wilson, throwing 4 feet above the receiver's head on a screen pass. I think this team will be more energetic. I think this team will be happier with Mike White being the quarterback as long as he generally performs okay. If he performs okay, they'd be fine. They win. They beat the Bears. Justin Fields is dealing with an injury right now. His status is still up in the air. The Jets get the win 24-17, cover the minus 6 point spread. But that does wrap it up for this episode of the Harvey Hour and for my Harvey Hot Hand. Another good day to do the Harvey Hour with you, Dad, as always. Big week of football here. Week 12, season's wrapping up. A little update, Nate's Notches and my top 10 QBs will be done in the final week of the season, week 18. That'll be my final top 10 QBs. Nate's Notches, that'll be the last one as well. Instead of doing it in week 16, then have like 2 weeks left of the season. Wrap it up at the very end of the year.
It's going to be an exciting run to the end of the season. A lot of teams still in it.
Yeah. The NFC
there's more
South
parity.
is
There's more parity in the NFL this year. I didn't really pick up on that in
Right.
the beginning of the season.
Right.
That a lot of these teams, and any given Sunday, right? Any team can come in and win. That you seem to see that this year a lot more. Some upsets, big upsets, a lot of upsets. A lot of teams with just over 500 records. You don't have a lot of teams with like 1-2 losses, right? It's a good season.
It is.
It's a lot of fun.
The NFC South is a boring race because all the teams aren't doing that great, but it's a race nonetheless. Because
That's
really,
right. Somebody's got to win the division.
Yeah,
I think
any
it will
team
be
can
the
win.
Bucks.
It should be the Bucks, but I think that does wrap it up for this episode of the Harvey Hour. Make sure you follow our social medias at Nathan T. Harvey1 on Twitter and at The Harvey Hour on TikTok for clips, exclusive content, and more. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are The Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Tuesday for a recap of Week 12.
Bye.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch.
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.